Reporting from Jerusalem for EndTimes.com, this is Brian Schrauger. As America goes to the polls, Iran is pulling out all stops to attack Israel in retaliation for 26 October, and at least vicariously the USA as well. Since last week's report, Iran has significantly increased its threats to launch an assault against the Jewish state. Israel's destruction of its defense systems and missile production sites on 26 October appears to have rattled the Islamic State. Arguably, however, that makes it more dangerous than ever. The precise nature of its promised assault and the locations from which it will be launched are ambiguous, but the threat itself is crystal clear. Speaking to a gathering of Islamic youth last Saturday, 2 November, Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei pledged a response that will break Israel's teeth. Please note that when Iranian-generated English subtitles say crushing response, Khamenei is actually saying teeth-breaking response.
دشمنان چه رژیم صهیونیستی چه ایالات متحده آمریکا در مقابل اون چه که نسبت به ایران و ملت ایران و نسبت به جبهه مقاومت انجام میدن قطعاً پاسخ دندان شکنی رو دریافت خواهند کرد.
On Sunday, 3 November, Iran's Security Council approved retaliation against Israel. Also on Sunday, the Wall Street Journal reported that, according to quote-unquote Iranian and Arab officials, Iran's response will be, quote, strong and complex, end quote. What does that mean? Various reports indicate it will include a broad range of weapons in the arsenals of Iran and its proxies, from drones to rockets to missiles, and, if it can pull them off, terror attacks inside Israel, especially with the aim of killing key figures. Some sources indicated the attack will be launched from Iraq, not Iran. In all likelihood, however, it will be initiated from as many proxy sites and weapon depots as possible, including Hezbollah's remaining missiles in Lebanon, perhaps some of its remaining more powerful ones. Drones from Syria to the north, Iraq in the northwest, and the Houthis to the south. Also rockets from rebel forces close to Israel's borders and terror cells inside the Palestinian territories. It's also entirely possible to include cyber attacks aimed at Israeli communication and defense systems. What about nuclear weapons? Do you remember the assessment made by Israeli Brigadier General Amir Avivi on 10 October?
Israel has reached the point which is basically dismantling the depths of Iran, dismantling Hamas and Hezbollah. In a few weeks, we'll reach the point where really both organizations are almost completely crippled. And this creates a reality where Iran is naked without these elements safeguarding Iran. And what will happen in this reality probably is that Iran, feeling that it's in a grave danger, they will accelerate the nuclear plans. So we are now in a situation where we are starting a race. They are going to make a run for nuclear weapons, and we have to make a run to destroy their capabilities. This is what's happening.
If Iran was feeling naked in early October by the crippling of its proxies in Lebanon and Gaza, how much more must it feel that way after the destruction of its internal defense systems by Israel on 26 October? Tehran has long argued that it would never develop nuclear weapons because of a fatwa, an Islamic holy order by its supreme leader Ali Khamenei to never do so. Israel has always been certain that a narrative would emerge to discard that fatwa. In the last few days, That narrative has begun. Part of his speech to Iranian youth on Saturday, Khamenei made an ominous pledge.
ما در مقابله با استکبار همه اون چه که باید و شاید برای آمادگی ملت ایران انجام بگیره، چه از لحاظ نظامی، چه از لحاظ تسلیحات، چه از لحاظ کارهای سیاسی، هر اون چه لازم باشه حتما انجام میدیم و الان هم به حمدالله مسئولین مشغول انجام این کارها هستند. مطمئناً حرکت کلی ملت ایران و مسئولین کشور در جهت مقابله با استکبار جهانی و دستگاه جنایتکار حاکم بر نظم جهانی امروز قطعاً و انصافاً هیچ گونه کوتاهی نخواهند کرد. این رو مطمئن باشید. بحث صرفاً انتقام نیست، بحث یک حرکت منطقی است، بحث یک حرکت مقابله منطبق با دین و اخلاق و شرع و قوانین بین المللی است و ملت ایران و مسئولین کشور در این جهت هیچ گونه تعللی و کوتاهی نخواهند کرد. اینو مطمئن باشید.
It is worth noting that the logical move to which Khamenei refers is one that he claims, quote, is in line with our religion, ethics, and Islamic law, end quote. Has he in fact authorized his nation's race to become a nuclear power? In an interview with Lebanon's Al-Mayadeen, Dr. Kamal Kharazi, Iran's former foreign minister and current head of the Islamic State's Strategic Council on Foreign Relations, virtually confirmed that this is in fact the race Tehran has begun. Please note that this interview, conducted in Arabic, has been dubbed with an English voice.
This policy, that is, changing the nuclear doctrine, is still on the table. Should Iran face an existential danger, there will be a shift in our nuclear doctrine strategy. This issue remains open. We now possess the technical ability to produce nuclear weapons, which isn't an issue for us.
Echoing Kharazi's argument, but a bit more emphatically, Iran's IRGC Major General Hossein Salami said Sunday, quote, Iran will acquire anything necessary to defeat its rabid dog enemy, the criminal and terrorist Zionist regime. In anticipation of Iran's imminent, strong, and complex response to 26 October, Axios reports that the U.S. has issued a warning to Iran, namely that, quote, we won't be able to hold Israel back, and we won't be able to make sure that the next attack will be calibrated and targeted as the previous one. As anticipated in last week's report, all indications are that Israel fully anticipated Iran's inability to resist a response to 26 October. Notably, the U.S. concurs that if Iran responds, when it responds, all bets against Israeli attacks targeting Iran's nuclear program, oil industry, and key Iranian figures are off the table. There are some who argue that Iran will back down because of pledges made to its own people and to the world that it will respond. It's impossible to imagine the Islamic State will risk losing face with its constituents, its national allies, and the world. When, then, will Iran respond with its promised strong and complex attack? Last Saturday, there were reports that it would begin before Americans go to the polls on Tuesday. Today, however, other reports indicate it will be after the election, but before the inauguration. Fully anticipating Iran's response, the U.S. has sent reinforcement to the Middle East, including as many as 12 B-52 strategic bombers, some of which will be on U.S. bases very close to Iran. Why? at least at the level of U.S. military analysis. Iran's threat against the United States is every bit as serious as its threat against Israel. Meanwhile, of course, Americans today are going to the polls to elect the next president of the United States. Who will it be? Current Vice President Kamala Harris or former President Donald Trump? What are Israel's thoughts about the outcome? If you are not yet a subscriber to endtimes.com and would like to see the rest of this important report and others like it, I urge you to subscribe right now at the website endtimes.com. For only $7 a month, you will receive a wealth of information and insight from Jimmy Evans, Mark Hitchcock, and experts from around the world, including Israelis living right here in the Jewish state. Do yourself a favor. Sign up today. Then join me as we consider how Israelis regard the candidates for President of the United States of America.